Hello students, so today we will discuss about some important compounds of carbon and silicon. So first, let's talk about the oxides of carbon. In case of carbon, we have two different oxides, carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. They are comparatively familiar for us. So first, let's talk about the carbon monoxide. So direct oxygen of carbon in limited supply of oxygen will lead us to carbon monoxide. That means incomplete combustion of carbon will give us carbon monoxide. So simple reaction, carbon plus comparatively less amount of oxygen or limited supply of oxygen, it gives us carbon monoxide. If we use higher quantity of oxygen, then it will give us carbon dioxide. So that's why limited supply is necessary. In a small scale, we can produce carbon monoxide with dehydration of formic acid in presence of H2SO4. H2SO4 is a very strong dehydrating agent. That means it will simply remove water molecules. So as we can see, we have formic acid which contains one extra molecule of water than the carbon monoxide. So simply water molecule will be removed and carbon monoxide will be left. Commercially, that means in higher quantity, we can produce carbon monoxide with the use of carbon as a coke and hot water, that means steam of water. At very high temperature, it produces mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen gas, which is known as water gas, because it is simply produced from water and carbon. And if we use air molecules instead of water, then you will get producer gas, that means mixture of carbon monoxide and nitrogen gas. It is called producer gas because it is a raw material for many different type of compounds. That means we can use producer gas to produce some other compounds. And this gas is also used as a fuel because it can undergo further combustion to form carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is more stable form of carbon oxide than the carbon monoxide. That means carbon monoxide is unstable and all the unstable molecules have comparatively higher energy. So we are moving from unstable state of oxide of carbon to stable state of oxide of carbon. So during this process energy will be released. That means it is used as fuel. Some common property of carbon monoxides are mentioned here, and one specific property is it is powerful reducing agent, because simple nature of carbon monoxide is to convert itself into carbon dioxide. In carbon monoxide, if we check the oxidation state of carbon, then it will be simply plus 2 because oxygen has minus 2. In carbon dioxide, we have two oxygens, so total we have minus 4 charge. That means carbon should be in plus 4 charge. So carbon follows oxidation. That means it will act as reducing agent. So carbon monoxide is a strong reducing agent. That means we can use it to reduce certain metals as well. But strong metals cannot be reduced using carbon monoxide. So exceptions are alkali metals, alkaline earth metals and aluminium, and some of the transition metal, that means some of the metals of D block. These metals are extremely strong metallic character, so that means we cannot use carbon monoxide for them, but all the remaining metals can be reduced using carbon monoxide. So this is very specific use of carbon monoxide, and you will learn about it in detail in standard 12, in which we have whole dedicated unit for metal extraction. That means first we can extract metal ores. Ores, that means stones dug from earth crust which contains comparatively higher proportion of certain metal compounds. Later we will purify those metal compounds and then we will reduce them into metals. So to reduce these metals we can use some reducing agent to help the reaction. That means a reduction of metal is comparatively opposite to their nature. Because metals have metallic character, that means it can produce positive ions, and we are reducing them into neutral atoms. So it is opposite to their nature, so help of reducing agent will increase the rate of reaction and our reduction will be easy. So example is mentioned, carbon monoxide can be used for extraction of metal from their metal oxides. We have two different examples mentioned here. We have oxide of iron and oxide of zinc. With carbon monoxide, it can be reduced in their metallic form and carbon dioxide will be produced. In case of carbon monoxide, we have 1 sigma and 2 pi bonds between carbon and oxygen. Because of that, we have one lone pair of electron in carbon and in oxygen as well. So because of presence of lone pair on carbon, it can act as a donor. And because of this donor nature, it can produce multiple different type of metal carbonyls. Now metal carbonyls are specific type of compounds, and they are part of complex compounds. And again, you will learn about these type of compounds, that means coordinate complex compounds, in standard 12. We have one separate dedicated unit for it. So basically these compounds contains coordinate covalent bond between metal and elements or molecules or ions, which contains lone pair of electron. So this lone pair of electron will be donated in empty orbital of metals, and so we have coordinate covalent bonding. When carbon monoxide molecules donates electron pair in metal, they are specifically called carbonyls. And such type of compound which donates electron pair to form these type of coordinate covalent compounds, they are referred as ligands. And carbonyl ligands are strongest ligands of all the other ligands. Now we know that carbon monoxide is highly poisonous. Reason for that is hemoglobin usually combines with oxygen, and it will donate oxygen, or it will provide oxygen to all these cells present in body. When we inhale air, lung separates oxygen from the air, and hemoglobin carries all of these oxygen molecules to the different part of body. So that means hemoglobin and oxygen, they have comparatively strong attraction towards each other. And that's why hemoglobin is able to separate oxygen from air molecules. But if this attraction is comparatively strong, then it cannot remove the oxygen. So attraction is not so strong, not so weak, it is moderate. When requirement occurs, hemoglobin can attract oxygen, and when requirement occurs, it can separate them too, so that it can donate to different parts of body. But when hemoglobin combines with carbon monoxide, this attraction is 300 times more stable than bond between hemoglobin and oxygen. That means carbon monoxide will combine with hemoglobin permanently. We cannot break this bond, and all of these hemoglobin molecules will be useless. So body will decompose them, and it will produce new hemoglobin compounds. But if we inhale comparatively higher amount of carbon monoxide, then hemoglobin won't be able to separate oxygen from the lungs, and that's why, because of lack of oxygen, person can die. Second compound of carbon is carbon dioxide. So it is prepared by complete combustion of carbon and carbon containing fuels in excess of air. So simply carbon with oxygen produces carbon dioxide, and some other hydrocarbons, when we burn them, that means during their combustion reaction, produces mixture of carbon and water, carbon dioxide and water. In laboratory reaction, we can produce it with the help of calcium carbonate and dilute HCl, which produces carbon dioxide gas and a solution of calcium chloride. And on industrial scale, we can produce it from heating limestone, that means calcium carbonate on heating produces carbon dioxide and calcium oxide. Basic property of carbon dioxides are mentioned here, and specifically with water it forms carbonic acid. That means whole molecule of water H2O and carbon dioxide will combine to produce H2CO3. So nothing is removed, and whole two molecules will combine with each other. This compound is familiar for us. We know very well what this is. It is simply referred as soda water, or water used in our cold drinks. We simply forcefully apply carbon dioxide in the bottle of water, and this carbon dioxide will dissolve in water, and it produces H2CO3, that means carbonic acid. This acid is weak acid, and it is dibasic. That means it produces two conjugate bases. So first, when one hydrogen as a H plus is removed from carbonic acid, it produces first conjugate base HCO3 minus. In second reaction, one more hydrogen will be removed to produce CO3 2 minus, which is second conjugate base. So this H2CO3 and HCO3 minus acts as buffer system which helps to maintain pH of blood between 7.26 to 7.42, that means nearly neutral. Now, what is buffer solution or buffer system? Buffer solutions or buffer system won't change their pH with minor addition of acid or base. Our blood should remain between this pH value, and it is possible because of this compound which acts as buffer solution. When we add some small quantity of acid or base, this pH won't change. Higher quantity of acid and base will change the pH of buffer system, but minor quantity or small quantity won't affect the pH. Carbon dioxide is also a part of photosynthesis. When plants photosynthesize, they uses energy from the sun. That means light radiation, which is mentioned here, because we know that energy of light is equal to Planck constant multiplied by frequency. So carbon dioxide with water molecule in presence of chlorophyll using light radiation produces C6H12O6, that means glucose, and it produces oxygen gas as well. That means plant converts carbon dioxide and oxygen during the photosynthesis. Carbon monoxide was poisonous gas, but carbon dioxide is not. But we have another problem with carbon dioxide. It is not completely harmless. Because of carbon dioxide, greenhouse effect is being produced. We know that carbon dioxide gas increases the temperature of earth. How it increases the temperature? So let's say we have sun and earth. So sunlight reaches to the surface of earth. Some of the sunlight or some of the wavelengths will be absorbed by the earth. That means plants will absorb some of the energy. Certain seawater will absorb. Certain animals can also absorb this energy, and excess amount of energy or certain wavelengths will reflect from the surface and it will shift in space. But carbon dioxide absorbs infrared light present in sunlight. Usually, infrared light will reflect and it will go in space. But carbon dioxide will absorb this gas. So, as the amount of carbon dioxide increase, more and more infrared gases will be absorbed, and it will lead to increased temperature of Earth, and it is cause of global warming. Carbon dioxide can be obtained in solid form, although normal physical state of carbon dioxide is gas, but we can easily convert it into dry ice. So dry has very low temperature and it can expand very rapidly. So dry ice is used as a refrigerant for ice cream and frozen food, and gaseous carbon dioxide is extensively used to carbonate the soft drink. We already discussed this point, and it is a very heavy and non-supporter of combustion. That's why we can use it as fire extinguisher. We use certain type of fire extinguisher which produces carbon dioxide. Two different type of chemicals are present inside the fire extinguisher. When they are mixed together, it produces carbon dioxide which can be used to extinguish fire. Carbon dioxide has two sigma bonds and two pi bonds with two different oxygen. Let's say first bond with both of the oxygen, they are sigma bonds, and remaining two bonds are pi bonds. So as we already know, in hybridization we have to count only sigma bonds, and if we have any non-bonding electron pairs, pi bonds are not counted in hybridization. That's why we have two sigma bonds. One of these sigma bond will be present in s orbital, second will be present in p orbital. So that's why hybridization of carbon dioxide is sp. If we have sp hybridization, then molecule will be straight. So carbon dioxide is a linear molecule, and it also shows resonance. As mentioned here, it can have these three different type of structure. One is a normal structure, and two resonating structure shows one of the oxygen will have single bond, second oxygen will gain three bonds. And in next lecture we will discuss about last point of our unit, compounds of silicon.